The National Electrical Code, or NEC, does indeed address the use of extension rings on electrical boxes. These rings are used to increase the volume of an electrical box, typically to accommodate more wiring or devices. However, there are limitations to ensure the safety and integrity of the electrical system. The primary reference within the NEC is Section 314.20, which covers boxes and conduit bodies to which surface extensions are attached. Specifically, NEC Section 314.20 addresses the number of extension rings. This section states that the number of extension rings that can be used with a box shall not exceed the number for which the box has been approved. This means you cannot simply stack an unlimited number of extension rings onto a box. The number is limited by the box's design and its listing. NEC Section 314.20b further clarifies this point. It states that boxes approved for the installation of extension rings shall be marked with the maximum number of extension rings that can be used. Therefore, the most reliable way to determine the allowable number of extension rings is to look for markings on the electrical box itself. These markings, if present, will indicate the maximum number of extension rings the box is designed to support. If the box is not marked, it is essential to consult the manufacturer's instructions or specifications. The manufacturer's documentation will provide the necessary information regarding the approved use of extension rings with the specific box model. In the absence of both markings and manufacturer's instructions, it is generally accepted that a standard electrical box will allow for up to 2 extension rings. However, this should be considered a general guideline and not a definitive rule. Always prioritize the manufacturer's specifications when available. The reason for these limitations is to maintain the structural integrity of the electrical box and the safety of the electrical connections within it. Using too many extension rings can weaken the box, making it more susceptible to damage. It can also compromise the support for wiring and devices, potentially leading to loose connections or strain on conductors. These issues can increase the risk of electrical fires, short circuits, and other electrical hazards. It is crucial to understand that these regulations are in place to protect both property and people. Overloading an electrical box with too many extension rings creates a hazardous situation. The NEC aims to prevent such situations by setting clear guidelines. When working with electrical boxes and extension rings, always adhere to the following principles. Firstly, always consult the NEC for the latest requirements. Electrical codes are updated regularly, so it is important to stay informed of any changes. Secondly, always check the electrical box for markings indicating the maximum number of extension rings allowed. Thirdly, if no markings are present, refer to the manufacturer's instructions for the specific box you are using. Fourthly, as a general guideline, limit the use of extension rings to a maximum of 2 if no other information is available. Fifthly, ensure that all extension rings are properly installed and securely fastened to the electrical box. Sixthly, avoid using damaged or weakened extension rings. Seventhly, when in doubt, consult with a qualified electrician to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. By following these guidelines, you can ensure the safe and proper installation of electrical boxes and extension rings. This will help to minimize the risk of electrical hazards and maintain the integrity of the electrical system. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to err on the side of caution. If you are not comfortable performing electrical work yourself, it is recommended to hire a qualified electrician. Electrical codes like the NEC are regularly updated to reflect new technologies, materials, and best practices. Always refer to the most current version of the NEC when performing electrical work. Many jurisdictions also have local amendments to the NEC, so it is important to check with your local authorities to ensure compliance with all applicable regulations. Electrical inspections are often required for new installations and modifications to existing electrical systems. These inspections are conducted by qualified inspectors who verify that the work meets the requirements of the NEC and local codes. Obtaining the necessary permits and inspections is an important step in ensuring the safety and legality of your electrical work. Understanding the volume requirements for electrical boxes is also crucial when using extension rings. The NEC specifies the minimum volume required for electrical boxes based on the number and size of conductors, devices, and fittings contained within the box. When adding extension rings, it is important to recalculate the box volume to ensure that it still meets the code requirements. Failure to do so can result in overcrowding of the box, which can lead to overheating and other electrical hazards. The NEC provides detailed tables and calculations for determining box volume requirements. These tables take into account the size of the conductors, the number of devices, and the presence of fittings such as ground clamps and cable connectors. When calculating box volume, it is important to follow the NEC guidelines carefully to ensure accurate results. The proper selection of electrical boxes and extension rings is also essential for safe and reliable electrical installation. Electrical boxes are available in a variety of materials, sizes, and shapes to suit different applications. Extension rings are also available in various sizes and materials to match the electrical boxes they are used with. When selecting electrical boxes and extension rings, it is important to consider the environment in which they will be installed. For example, in wet or damp locations, it is necessary to use weatherproof boxes and fittings to prevent corrosion and electrical shock hazards. In corrosive environments, it is important to use boxes and fittings made of corrosion-resistant materials such as stainless steel or fiberglass. The proper grounding of electrical boxes and equipment is also critical for safety. The NEC requires that all electrical boxes and equipment be properly grounded to provide a path for fault current in the event of a short circuit. Grounding helps to protect people from electrical shock and to prevent fires. When installing extension rings, it is important to ensure that the grounding system is properly maintained. This may involve bonding the extension ring to the electrical box and ensuring that all grounding connections are tight and secure. The use of proper wiring methods is also essential for safe and reliable electrical installation. The NEC specifies the types of wiring methods that are permitted for different applications. These wiring methods include conduit, cable, and raceway systems. When installing extension rings, it is important to ensure that the wiring methods used are compatible with the extension rings and that the wiring is properly supported and protected. The NEC also provides guidelines for the proper installation of wiring devices such as switches, receptacles, and lighting fixtures. These devices must be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and the requirements of the NEC. When installing extension rings, it is important to ensure that the wiring devices are properly supported and that the connections are tight and secure. The NEC also addresses the use of overcurrent protection devices such as circuit breakers and fuses. These devices are designed to protect electrical circuits from overloads and short circuits. When installing extension rings, it is important to ensure that the overcurrent protection devices are properly sized and installed in accordance with the NEC. The NEC also provides guidelines for the proper labeling of electrical equipment and circuits. Proper labeling helps to identify the purpose of each circuit and to prevent accidental disconnection or energization of circuits. When installing extension rings, it is important to ensure that all electrical equipment and circuits are properly labeled in accordance with the NEC. The NEC also addresses the use of surge protection devices. These devices are designed to protect electrical equipment from voltage surges caused by lightning or other electrical disturbances. When installing extension rings, it is important to consider the need for surge protection devices, especially in areas that are prone to lightning strikes. The NEC also provides guidelines for the proper maintenance of electrical systems. Regular maintenance can help to identify and correct potential problems before they become serious hazards. When installing extension rings, it is important to establish a maintenance plan that includes regular inspections and testing of the electrical system. In addition to the NEC, there are other codes and standards that may apply to electrical installations. These include local building codes, fire codes, and energy codes. It is important to check with your local authorities to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and standards. The NEC is a complex and comprehensive document that covers a wide range of electrical topics. It is essential to have a thorough understanding of the NEC before performing any electrical work. There are many resources available to help you learn about the NEC, including textbooks, online courses, and seminars. It is also recommended to consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns about electrical work. When working with electrical systems, safety should always be your top priority. Always follow the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. Use proper safety equipment, such as gloves and eye protection, and never work on electrical systems that are energized. By following these safety precautions, you can help to prevent electrical accidents and injuries. The information provided in this narration is intended for informational purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional electrical advice. Always consult with a qualified electrician before performing any electrical work. The NEC is updated every 3 years, so it is important to stay informed of any changes to the code. The latest version of the NEC is available from the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA. There are also many online resources that provide information about the NEC. These resources can be helpful for understanding the code and for finding answers to specific electrical questions. However, it is important to ensure that the information you are using is accurate and up to date. Always verify the information with the latest version of the NEC or with a qualified electrician. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others. Never work on electrical systems that are energized. Always disconnect the power before working on any electrical equipment. Use proper safety equipment, such as gloves and eye protection. And never work alone. It is always best to have someone else present in case of an emergency. If you are not comfortable performing electrical work yourself, it is recommended to hire a qualified electrician. A qualified electrician has the knowledge and experience to perform electrical work safely and correctly. They can also ensure that your electrical system is in compliance with all applicable codes and standards. The cost of hiring a qualified electrician may seem high, but it is a worthwhile investment in the safety and reliability of your electrical system. The NEC is a living document that is constantly evolving to reflect new technologies and best practices. It is important to stay informed of the latest changes to the code to ensure that your electrical work is safe and compliant. The NEC is not the only code that may apply to electrical installations. Local building codes, fire codes, and energy codes may also have requirements that affect electrical work. It is important to check with your local authorities to ensure compliance with all applicable codes and standards. Electrical inspections are an important part of the electrical safety process. Electrical inspections are conducted by qualified inspectors who verify that electrical work meets the requirements of the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. Obtaining the necessary permits and inspections is an important step in ensuring the safety and legality of your electrical work. If you have any questions or concerns about electrical work, it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician. A qualified electrician can provide you with expert advice and guidance on all aspects of electrical work. They can also help you to ensure that your electrical system is safe, reliable, and compliant with all applicable codes and standards. Extension rings should be listed for the application in which they are being used. Using non-listed extension rings may void the listing of the electrical box and create a safety hazard. Always use extension rings that are specifically designed and listed for use with the type of electrical box you are using. When installing extension rings, be sure to use the correct screws and fasteners. Using the wrong screws or fasteners can damage the electrical box or the extension ring and can also create a safety hazard. Always use screws and fasteners that are specifically designed for use with electrical boxes and extension rings. When installing extension rings, be careful not to damage the existing wiring. Damaging the wiring can create a short circuit or other electrical hazard. Always use caution when working around wiring, and be sure to disconnect the power before working on any electrical equipment. When installing extension rings, be sure to properly seal the box to prevent moisture from entering. Moisture can cause corrosion and can also create an electrical hazard. Always use a sealant that is specifically designed for use with electrical boxes and extension rings. When installing extension rings, be sure to properly ground the box. Grounding the box helps to protect against electrical shock. Always use a grounding wire that is the correct size and type for the electrical box. When installing extension rings, be sure to follow all applicable codes and regulations. Electrical codes and regulations are in place to protect the public safety. Always follow the codes and regulations to ensure that your electrical work is safe and compliant. Extension rings are used to extend the depth of an electrical box. They are often used when adding new wiring or devices to an existing electrical box. Extension rings are available in a variety of sizes and shapes to fit different types of electrical boxes. They are typically made of metal or plastic. When selecting an extension ring, be sure to choose one that is the correct size and shape for the electrical box you are using. Also, be sure to choose an extension ring that is made of a material that is compatible with the electrical box. Metal extension rings should be used with metal electrical boxes, and plastic extension rings should be used with plastic electrical boxes. When installing an extension ring, be sure to disconnect the power to the circuit. This will help to prevent electrical shock. Once the power is disconnected, you can begin to install the extension ring. First, remove the screws that hold the electrical box to the wall. Then base the extension ring over the electrical box and align the holes in the extension ring with the holes in the electrical box. Next, insert the screws through the holes in the extension ring and into the holes in the electrical box. Tighten the screws until the extension ring is securely attached to the electrical box. Finally, reattach the electrical box to the wall. Once the extension ring is installed, you can begin to install the new wiring or devices. Be sure to follow all applicable codes and regulations when installing the wiring or devices. Once the wiring or devices are installed, you can reconnect the power to the circuit.